Good afternoon, everyone. How are we doing today? Are we having a good day? Have you had a beautiful week? It's been a busy week here, but it's been a good one. It's been a good one. Busy is good, right? Because when we're busy, we're earning money. Phone's ringing. Wait a second. We're back. All sorted. Right then. Whoop. YouTube 101. Don't kick the tripod. Right, so today we're going to have a look at, as promised, we're going to have a look at some push sticks. So what we're going to do is I've got a bunch of different push sticks, maybe 5 or 6 different designs. We're going to have a look at them, see what you think, see what I think, see what I like, what I don't like, and then we'll have a run through. I had wanted to do like a proper, like a Project Farm type test, but I'm really struggling on a way to test the push sticks, other than using them a bunch, and I've used them all, well, used most of them a bunch anyway. So if you do come up with any ideas, stick them in the comments below and we'll have a look at them. That being said, let's get into it, shall we? Right then, so push sticks are running through the laser machine. I pulled a bunch of designs up, run them through CAD, and they're being run through the laser machine. I'm running them out of some 9mm MDF, so they're all doubled up. And then what we'll do is we'll get them all out once they're all cut, laminate them together, and yeah, and then we can start looking and seeing what the pros and cons are of them, okay?
Hey darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. And get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city. Let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey. Come on now and take my hand.
Right then, so these are the 6 that I've made today. These are the 7 ones that I use in the shop every day. So for me, we've got 2 gripper blocks here, which are just like 2 T-blocks basically with some 120 grit sandpaper glued to the bottom. These, I use them on the planer, and that's it. I don't use gripper blocks on the table support. You might want to, that's fine. I don't like them personally. I think they're a little bit, hands too close to the blade and all that sort of rubbish. I've got 2 pistol grip types. Obviously an old one that's had a lot of use. I don't know if you can see this. You can see it's been whoa. Wow, you can see it's been cut through a bunch of times. Same goes for this one, cut through a bunch of times. That's the beauty with these ones for me, is you can hold the timber on and push it all the way through nice and safe. But we'll get back to that in a second. And then obviously your cheapo, crappy ABS push sticks that you get. I got 3 little one, 2 side ones. And then we've got basically the same sort of thing here. Right, so we've got 3 different types here. We've got a remake of my original one. I quite like this one. We've got like a saw one. Is it supposed to? You're supposed to use it like that. You're supposed to use it like that. I don't know. I would have thought you want to use it like that. But yeah, that's the case. They put these on the wrong part, didn't they? I might go and recut this in a second. Give me a second. And then there's this one, which people like to use. I don't know. Fair enough. And then these, which are all the same variation, they're all pretty much the same. Got those. And then this one, I genuinely like this one. So this is from, this is off of Lumberjacks, I think, the forum in the States. And this is from a YouTube channel called Big Daddy-O Workshop. There's a bit of a twist on the usual push stick. Check this out, because everyone gets so worked up about having your hands close. to the blade. So now you can have your fingers mega close to it, eh? Check that out. Yeah, that's awesome. So what do I like? What do I like? These have a place, right? Well, look, we'll start off with a caveat. We always have a caveat. The safest one to use, right, is the one that you feel safe using. Now, I've had a few people say to me they like these and they feel safe using these. That's fine, right? If that's what you feel safe doing, then go for it. I'm going to tell you what I feel safe using and why I like a particular thing. You disagree with me? That's awesome. Let me know why in the comments. I'm not that arrogant that I think that I know everything and that what I say goes. If you have a counter opinion, by all means put it in the comments. I might not necessarily agree with you, but I'm big enough to be able to deal with it. So yeah, by all means put it down in the comments. I'll get a kick out of it when you all do. So yes, so these, I personally don't like them, right? I think they give you a good amount of force in terms of like pushing this way towards the blade. So if we've got the blade up here, and I've got a piece of timber over here, piece of birch ply. So we're going to cut a couple inches off of it, right? I can understand using one of these is fine, but if you use it, you see that? It just pushes away like that, right? And the gap opens up here. Let me turn you around and then you can see. Right, I think that's better. I'll have to remember to, maybe I could work through here, like? I don't know. I'll stop screwing around. Right, it's supposed to be serious now. So, using a push stick, right? We use a push stick. So we're going to cut this timber out. Push it here. It pulls away from the side of the fence, right? So you've got to use two. So you've got to have one here and one here. Now that's fine, right? When I'm cutting long boards and stuff, let me show you. So if I'm cutting a long board or something, I will hold this side, right, like this. I don't know if you can see that. But yeah, so I'm holding the push stick here, and that's pushing this corner against the side of the fence, and then I'm going to do the rear movement with my other hand, right? So they work well for that, and when I'm cutting large pieces I use them, but I don't like them because when I was taught to use a table saw, we were always told that the angle of the pressure that you're using is pushing at maybe like a 45, maybe like a 60-degree angle towards the fence, not 45, 60 to 90, yeah. So we'll say 60-degree angle towards the fence, so that your pressure is going this way, right? So that way you keep the board, the front and the back end of the board, right up against the side of the fence, which is what you need to be doing. If you're only using one push stick, it's going to push away, so it's a bad idea. So you're going to use two, right? And I still don't think that there's as much control over them as there is with the gripper, but that's my personal opinion. So yes, so that's why I don't like these. They are good, like I said, for helping you to keep long boards against the fence, perfect, but for doing smaller work, not really my sort of thing. And I don't think I would ever really use them on the planer, but excuse me, I know a lot of people do. So next one then. I'm going to fix this in a second. This one, right? So this, the main argument against using these grippers is people think that your hand gets too close to the blade, right? I can understand where you're coming from, but there's a couple of things you need to remember. So first off, your safe working height for your table saw blade is going to be 1/4 to 1/2 inch above the material, yeah? So that shouldn't be an issue that your hand's going to get that close to the material. Now, using one of these, I don't think this is actually too bad an idea. I suppose it keeps your hand up, so the material, or the table saw blade is going to be sitting this high. So you've got a good 2.5 to 3 inches before your fingers are going to hit it. Now, I know a lot of people worry about kickback, and they worry about, they would say, well, a lot of people would say, I haven't got a proper guard on here, even though I've got the overhead crown guard. They would say that I shouldn't have my fence extended past the blade. The vast majority of what we cut is cheap material, so that helps us. As always, don't ever do anything I say, and don't do the opposite of what I say if I'm saying to do the right thing or not. Yeah, just don't hurt yourself and then blame me. Perfect. So, I quite like this. I don't think it's too bad. I think it's a little bit ungamey, a little bit wobbly. So I think the beautiful thing with the gripper type, right, or the pistol grip type, is that they enable you to put downward pressure on the board. Now when you're cutting a lot of sheet materials, there is a tendency, as it exits out the board, if your feed table is a little bit lower than your main saw table, for it to want to do this, right? So as this board comes through, it does that. If it does that, what can happen, and has happened before, is the board tips up, and when it tips up, it then raises up off of the saw blade, and then what can happen is it can drop down onto the top of the blade as it's spinning, and it'll either chuck it back at you, it will chuck it in this direction, or it's going to give you a really, really, really bad day. So my main concern when I'm cutting sheet materials is keeping the board flat against the table all the way through the cut, and that's why I think this grip is better personally. So this is the one that I use, right? So I can sit here and push this. It doesn't come away from the corner of the fence, right? It's not going to lift up. If it does lift up, I can push it straight back down again. So yeah, so for me, I guess, you know, this can have a tendency to move out, and you're not going to get as much downward pressure using this one as you are this one. These are the little wooden sticks. They're basically the same as what we've got here. I think they're called bird's mouths, except I guess the angle's different. So that one's got an angle like this. This one's got an angle like that. I tell you what, right? If you're using this and the angle is that, how is that any safer than using that? Surely this is more dangerous because it's going to be sitting like that. But it's going to be sitting like that. Your hand's going to be a lot higher up, isn't it? I don't know. Give me 2 minutes. Let me fix this one. Hey, look. I forgot one. These ones are bigger than all, right? Okay, so this I think is better. I don't think that's as good as the one that I use personally, but I don't think it's that bad. But you can still see you've got to put a huge amount of pressure and it's still pulling away at the end. I don't know, not really my cup of tea. Look at the size of this one. Who's using this? Whoever's using this has got issues. I think you're overcompensating for something maybe. Oh, I don't know. Man, I've got hands like shovels. I've got massive hands. My hand barely fits around it. That's hilarious. Okay, so this isn't too bad, but again, it's still pulling away from the side. I think that's probably due to the size. Maybe if you trimmed it down a little bit, it'd be a little bit better. I can see why you would think this is better, because obviously it's got a longer, you've got more surface area along the bottom here, right, pushing it down. But then it's a little bit more unwieldy, isn't it, really? I wonder if maybe a skinny handle like that and a long version would be better. I tell you what you do find though is if you're using them a lot, you get a lot of get a lot of pain in your wrists. So, and I guess the thing is when you're using something like this, you're pushing along like that, so you're really starting to mangle the inside of your wrist there. I don't know, man. I don't know. What about this one, eh? See, I'm quite impressed with this. I like ridiculous stuff, and yeah, I quite like this one. I think this would be good. If only because it would wind a lot of people up, because they get really worked up over little things like this. But yeah, anyway. So these gripper blocks, right? The reason I don't like these is even though you've got the best amount of downward pressure, you've got the best amount of manoeuvrability, it's not gonna, like you can even use one and it's not really gonna come away from the end of the fence there. I think my issue with them is, if there is any kickback, your hands are really close to the blade, right? I mean, you're literally like this far away, and you're at the same level at it, so if it kicks back and pulls it in, you're stuck. Whereas, using one of these, right, if I'm over here, or over here, and it kicks back and it pulls us across, I've got maybe a millisecond or whatever just to let go, and then whatever happens, happens. Right? Because that's one of the most important things, is sometimes you just need to let go. So yeah, I don't know. We cut a lot of sheet materials, like a lot of sheet materials. And I've tried a bunch of different types. Who made that? Like, who designed this? Some of these, right? So some of these, so this one, this one, this one, and this one. There's a place called craftspace.com. Craftspace.com. If I remember, I'll put a link in the description. And they've got a little PDF file where you can print out, and then there's all of these. I don't know about that one. So they're in there. This one's my own design. This one is a Big Daddy-O workshop. I really like that. I think that's quite funny. So they're all a variation on like two things basically, right? There's this type, pistol grip, which enables you to push forward and have downward pressure at the same time. Best in my opinion. And then you have these ones, which allow you to push forward, and then you need another hand here. My issue with these, right, is, okay, so like I'm cutting like here, right? If this bit, something bad happens with it, something goes wrong, it flies off over here, gets caught in the blade, right? I am not so much in harm's way, as opposed to if I have one hand here and one hand here. For me to be comfortable here, I'm gonna be in line with the table saw blade, which is just a bad idea, right? It's not too bad with sheet materials because it's not a huge amount of tension built up with them, but in terms of like proper timber, yeah, if you get some knots, so you get a lot of tension in there and it's pinching in, obviously not too much of an issue, you've got your riving knife fitted, which you should do, or your splitter. I still don't like the fact, and you guys can see, I am in the line of harm's way. And say for example something caught, tooth flew off or something like that, I'm going to get hammered with it. Not what I want. What do you think? Right, I'm genuinely interested in what you think, because obviously we all learn different, right? We've all learned from different teachers, whether you've learned from YouTube, school, college, on site, whatever. Especially with you guys in the States, right? Because there's a huge divide in how things are done over here as to how things are done over there. The whole reason that I started doing this video, or started thinking about this video, is because there were some people on a woodworking forum, or a workshop forum, who thought that the vast majority of accidents in the US are caused by using the wrong push stick, right? What happened was that they said that there's correlation between the amount of accidents that they have in the States, the amount of amputees that they have in the States, and table saw gets put on the thing, and how that relates to the types of push sticks that they use. And a couple of us were like, well, maybe it's to do with like the culture, maybe it's to do with using table saws that don't necessarily have a riving knife, or because I know that's quite a newish thing in the States, or like having a splitter on them, whether they don't use a guard. I think I'm a great believer in personal responsibility, right? And no safety device in this shop is going to protect me. So guards and stuff are great, that's awesome, but that doesn't get in the way of safe working practices. So what do you think of that then, eh? Pleased? Did you enjoy it? Was it worth it? Not worth it? Do you feel like you maybe wasted 20 minutes of your life, or 15, whatever, how long the video is? I mean, that is probably a fair comment for some of you, I guess, but who cares? If you think you've wasted your life, please write in the comments below, because I love any sort of engagement, it really helps. And yeah, that's awesome. So, should we summarise then? Bird's mouth or pistol grip type. I guess the issue, right, is that it's all personal preference. Some people feel safer with these, some people feel safer with these. Some people couldn't bear to use like one of these, or like a gripper block, or one of these, because they would be worried that their hand's going to be too close to the blade. Well, I don't know. I think personally that's negated by the fact you can put downward pressure on the timber to stop it from lifting up. You know, and that is something that's definitely happened to us before. We cut a lot of sheet materials, and you get boards, you get warp in the board, you get a cup in the board, twist, and as you're pushing a piece of timber through, it might want to lift up. You might release a bit of tension in that plywood where it's going to pop up like this, and as it pops up, it's going to want to ride the tip of that blade and shoot off. Well, if you've got that gripper, you can push that back down again straight away. Similarly, I can't speak this week. No, you know what I mean. I'll write it. The beauty with using something like this is that it cuts into my hand. I can ride it against the fence for smaller cuts. I don't mind trimming it out. You know, I would hate to run a push stick through like this and it edge off on the blade. That would be scary as heck, because I think there'd be such little downward force, it would just rip this out your hand. I mean, that's just me then. So yeah, so where are we at then? Not a huge massive fan of these, if I'm honest, but whatever works for you. This, and now I fixed it better. Obviously if I'm using it wrong, please tell me. Yeah, so that's the one that we use. Gripper blocks, like, I don't mind a cheap DIY job is. I think these are perfect on a plane, because you know, when you're using the planer, you can sit there and you've got your two pieces, you've got these, you got your front and your back, and you can keep equal pressure and run them through, or run them across, and you can keep your lateral force towards the fence, and you can keep your front to back force, I guess, pushing forward. So for a planer, I think those are perfect. I don't know whether I'd use them on the table saw or not. So don't like those, do like that. I mean, that's, like I said, it's a big one, right? I don't think there's any need for it. Maybe it works better for you, but I don't know why I'm laughing. I'm so immature, it's ridiculous. So yeah, so that's maybe not for me. But like I said, okay, so I think these do have a place, and like I said, I tend to use them where I will have a long board but a thin board that I'm going to cut a thin strip off of it, and I will use it to push against the fence as I feed the board through my hand. But personally, it's not for me. So yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed that ramble. By all means, let us know below what you think to it. Please like and subscribe, all that sort of rubbish. If you really enjoy the videos, make sure you subscribe. And if you properly enjoy them, like, I mean, if you've stayed this long all the way through, and you probably do, I'd ring the notification bell. But yeah, you have an awesome day. You take it easy, and I shall catch you on the next one. All right, have fun.